What's going on, everybody? My name is Elliot. I am with my boy, Mark Eckert.
What's up,
dude? Is that the first time I've actually said your last name out loud to you? I don't know. Is that correct?
Most people say Eckert.
Eckert.
Because that seems to be the more common name.
Okay.
We are one letter away from Eckert's drug empire. Apparently, my family did not luck out. So,
Damn.
Son of a bitch. But yeah, that's it. Mark Eckert, dude. You got that right.
I like it. Founder of That Playlist, That Pitch, and many other things that I can't even keep track of right now. But what we're going to do here is we've got about 15 or 20 minutes, and a lot of our audience is independent artists who are looking to figure out how to make it in the music industry. And if you don't mind, can we start with like a brief background as to how you got into that pitch, how you know, what is sync, what are sync placements for someone who might just be getting started, and what does the landscape of like this area in the music business look like for, like, you know, with everything, as much streaming content as there is on Netflix, Amazon Prime, everything, content is everywhere. Yeah. Many opportunities for placements in these programs. So turn it over to you. Can you tell us a little bit about That Pitch?
What a guy. What an intro, dude. Yeah, so I started out primarily producing. So, you know, kind of like in the early days of Instagram. Well, okay, firstly, I went to school in Boston, moved to New York, and then I moved back to Charlotte, North Carolina, where we are currently.
Where we are.
And I kind of just wanted to start producing full time. I'd been working in studios and stuff, and I was playing drums with a couple artists. I'd produced their records. And I started posting a bunch of stuff online of me producing. And then that kind of led to a bunch of people on Instagram, early days of Instagram, people reaching out, hey, can you produce my record? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm happy to work on it. So that kind of led to me producing a bunch of artists, both in America. And then, you know, I would tour to Australia, producing, drumming for a couple artists, Italy. And I primarily produced indie pop and hip hop records. Got really kind of busy in that. And I was working with, you know, 5 to 10 artists a month. It was really great. We came out with some awesome records I was really proud of. And then during that time, I talked to a good friend of mine, Charlotte Henson. She worked at Downtown Music in Amsterdam. And now she actually is head of sync licensing at Domino Publishing. So she does everything for Arctic Monkeys, you know, any massive UK artist, she's doing all the sync deals for, which is just totally badass. She's a gem. I love her. Sweet. But she reached out to me and she was like, hey, you work with a bunch of indie pop artists. You know, that's your thing. They're all independent. And I was like, yeah. She's like, you know, in her mind, she was like, oh, they're independent. They're not with a label or a publisher. It means that legally they own all of the material. So it's going to be, from a legal perspective, very easy for somebody to sign a deal with. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because the premise is one person gets to sign off for it. It's like, yep, you're allowed to use this. Do we need any other permissions? No, you're allowed to use this. So that's what she was looking at. And she was like, well, you should probably start getting into that. So started reaching out to a bunch of people, and more people started reaching out to me. InSync, you know, word kind of got around. Everybody was hitting me up for indie pop gigs and like indie pop tracks for specific deals. I started getting pretty busy with sync, and we landed a couple deals. And I figured out after a specific deal that I landed, after everybody got paid, you know, all of the middlemen and everything, I got like 25% or so of the full budget. Of that, I had to pay everybody else. And I was like, well, this is kind of fucked up, you know, like that's not cool. And you know, I asked a bunch of my friends, and I was like, is this normal? You know, simple as that. And they were like, yep. So congratulations, man. You know, it's kind of like, it's like
learned the game.
Yeah. It's like when you play your first gig and you fuck up on stage, and, you know, you learn after time, nobody knows your parts. So you learn to just laugh or keep it cool and nobody notices. Uh-huh. But as soon as you're like, oh my God, I played the wrong note, you let everybody know, they know you fucked up. So I went through I realized I fucked up, you know? And so I was like, okay, well, this is just kind of how it works. Well, that's kind of annoying. Well, anyways, I started getting a bunch of these gigs, and at a certain point, people were like, you know, do you have any stuff other than indie pop? You know, do you have country, hip hop, other shit? And so sometimes I had music, but a lot of times I didn't. So I hit up all my friends, and just like everybody in the music industry who has like a long-term career, they always say, you know, focus on your relationships, just build a long-term relationship. And that's what I did. I realized that, hey, these people are reaching out to me. They trust me. I got to just show up, you know? That's the most important thing, is just show up. And so they would hit me up needing a track. If I didn't have anything, I would hit up one of my friends. Hey, do you have a track for this sort of thing? If you land it, I'll let you keep it 100%. I don't care. I want to build this relationship.
Right. Yep. That makes sense.
And, you know, I just kept doing that. And there was a time where I didn't have anything and all my friends didn't have anything. So I just posted it in Facebook, actually on Make Pop Music, which is a Facebook group that I'm a moderator in. Shout out to Austin Hull, who owns that group. Awesome dude. And I posted the opportunity in there, and there were like 200 people or something that were like, I have a track for this. And I realized at that point, there's a lot of people who want to be active in this.
Oh, yeah. They don't even know.
And the hard part is, you know, getting connected with somebody who has kind of built trust with those relationships. And I want to premise the reason why the trust factor is so difficult is because if you send music that is not legally cleared, not only can you potentially cause a lawsuit, you could literally ruin someone's career.
Yeah.
If you work with a music supervisor or a licensing company or whatever, you send something that you said was yours and it wasn't, they will never work with you again because it caused them issues and they maybe lost a client, you know?
Yep.
So anyways, I realized all these people wanted help. I had, you know, these relationships. And at the same time, I was like, I want to see if there's a way where I can stop getting screwed from deals and all of my friends can stop getting screwed, you know? And so I literally just built a paid email list. You know, I was like, if we can cover rent essentially by building out all the stuff and doing the compliance for these deals, then I'm cool with that, you know? And, you know, we were profitable within the first month. I kind of just let everybody know my intentions. Not, you know, I just want to help. And it's grown from there. 4 years later, now we're supplying the vast majority of music in the biggest licensing companies in the world and a bunch of different ad agencies. So I'm really proud of it. We have an awesome roster of producers and artists all around the world, and we're still paying out 100%. So it's really cool.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
So it's crazy.
These people that you knew in the industry knew that you worked with a handful of particular artists.
Yeah.
Or artists in a particular niche. In this case, the niche being independent artists, not necessarily the genre of the music in a way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was partially the genre. I think that's how I first got in, but then it really kind of just said, they were like, oh, you just know independent artists in general.
Right, and that's easier for us.
Yep.
And then, so this group of people come to you, they know you have a network, and then you kind of recognized a business opportunity in what they were asking you.
Yeah, I mean, you probably would agree with this is business. Like a lot of people in music think that business is like this icky, tacky word, like, oh, you know, fuck capitalists. Like, no, it's like business is literally, there's a bad way to do business, but those people don't last in our industry. People who have good businesses are literally just solving a problem for people.
Exactly.
That's it. If you look at it from how can I help someone, you're going to have a thriving business. If you look at it from a place of fuck you, pay me, then you're not going to last very long.
Yeah.
You know? So I was kind of just like, oh, this is a way where I can help a lot more people, you know, find more success, make some money.
Yeah.
At
the beginning, did you think, oh, this is a way like I might be able, because at first I'm wondering, were you immediately thinking of, ooh, I can help a bunch of other artists? Or were you like, wow, I know a lot of artists. I can help these people like with their initial problem. And then like the pendulum kind of swings back and you're like, wait a minute, now there are a bunch of these opportunities and a bunch of independent artists who are interested.
It's interesting because I think it was a mix. You know, on one hand, you know, these supervisors or connections or licensing agents, creative directors, they were reaching out to me and I was like, I really want to make sure I feed this relationship.
Something.
Yeah, it's like just show up, you know? At the same time, I had artists that I was producing that they were like, okay, so I know about a release strategy. Like I know how to put something out. I know different companies to work with, companies to stay away from, companies that are actually going to help me. How can I go about playlisting, running ads, blah, blah, blah. Well, how do I get into licensing? What is publishing? How do I understand all of this stuff? Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking, this could be another way to help them. By proxy, I had a huge, network of friends who also made music in Facebook groups, Instagram, online. And I kind of realized, I had already built trust with a community that I love. And that's the hardest thing to get. It's like, just trust. Like, hey, I'm not going to screw you over. Like, I'm really trying here. It's a balance, they got to make money. I want you to make money. Let's just make this thing work and, think of a long-term strategy so we can kind of change some things in the industry for everybody. Right. But yeah, I think the main thing was like, I don't think it was like one side or the other, it was really just like, hey, if they are reaching out to me and they're like, hey, Mark, I'm going to put my career on the line by saying I trust you. What a fucking compliment, man.
Right, yeah.
Like, you're dealing with, an Apple commercial for $40K. Like you're dealing with like all this shit. And you're reaching out to me saying, hey man, I trust you that you're not going to cause a legal issue for us.
Right.
Oh my God. Right. Like, and it wasn't, I didn't really have much experience in it, but they just, I guess, knew my character of like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you're not, like, you don't regret this. I'm going to take care of you because I genuinely know that you worked your ass off to be where you are, and I respect that, So it was a way to help them. It was a way to help the artists I was producing and developing. It was a way to help all of my friends. Yeah. So it was really just like, wow, I can really kind of help everybody help each other. Right. And what a cool situation that could be, Right. Yeah, I think that was kind of the main premise, Would you kind of like agree with that on, from a marketing perspective, PR, everybody's trying to tell their stories. That's kind of how I've always approached things.
Yeah. I think a lot of companies, you were alluding to this, like the companies that are actually trying to help. Yes, they are a company. Yes, their intention is to make money, but they understand that the more they help, the more money they'll make. Or like the longer they'll be in the game. And
I think the thing is you can make short money or you can make long money.
Exactly. So I think exactly. There's people who recognize an opportunity to get theirs and get out, and they don't necessarily care who gets burnt in the way, right, along the way. And then there's others that recognize an opportunity to help is an opportunity to make money. Yeah. And helping and an opportunity to like get yours is different.
Yeah. And I think, also specifically in the past couple of years, there's been, a lot of things that have popped up that have made people like hesitant on like different offers and stuff. And like rightfully you should be, but again, it's like you kind of go back to there's people who understand the short-term gains, people who really believe in the long-term gains of things. Yeah. So if you can find those companies, those people who believe in kind of long-term strategy of like overall mission to, and you can see like they'll show you their cards, right. You look in a little bit, they'll show you their cards.
Oh yeah.
It's not hard to decipher that sort of stuff. But if you see the companies that are really going at it from a long-term perspective and they're thinking like 5 years out, those are typically the ones that you want to get in with. Because there's a lot more companies and offers coming out, and it's amazing how democratized it's been. Yeah. But with that, you want to have a trained eye,
Well, especially in music where it seems like so many companies that were started yesterday all of a sudden have like a new secret way to success that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah.
And I think now it's not every new company because you were a new company at one point, we were a new company, but especially in music, it just seems that company started yesterday called like music industry experts.com. Right. And, they've got some makeshift website and some Instagram page with, 200 fake followers on it and offering some sort of bullshit secret. Yeah. There's the music industry since like the modern music industry forever has been a situation where people have seen the people making this content or making the, that have the attention, that have the audience, and just taking advantage of them. But, back it was for years and years. So everyone as an artist, I think, is programmed to think that someone somewhere at the record label or at this sync company or they're all trying to take advantage of me, and I have my guard up.
I can tell you for a fact, just, this is not a name dropping situation, but I am literally just saying it from a perspective of logistics within the music industry, of the gatekeepers, so to speak. So I worked on a couple big records, for Joji, Future, DaBaby, Lil Baby. And, I have some plaques. Okay. Very cool. It really doesn't mean anything, but I love a good painting on a wall. Why not stick some other artwork? Anyways, getting them is just a matter of so many logistics of, proving, that you're on the record, who was the A&R on it. Then they need approval from this person. They need approval from that person. And then you have this person that gives the final send off. Once they give the final send off, then the companies actually make the plaque needs another additional. It's just so annoying. And when you realize that everything in the music, and people always talk about overnight success, but the way that there was a book I read years ago by Chris Gullibo, and it was called 365 Days to Overnight Success.
Right.
I loved that premise because, when you realize that nothing, you're really just laying brick. There are no moments. I don't know for you, if you've had these moments, please, I would come out with a $10,000 guru. I will pay you.
Yeah, right.
I personally have not had any moments where I was like, I've made it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we work with huge licensing companies and labels and publishers to, do all these deals, but it's always laying brick. It's like, okay, this is the next step there.
Right.
At a meeting, I talked to you about a company that I was talking with this morning. Awesome company. I've wanted to work with them for years. It was an hour-long meeting. I was like, great, this is a great step in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, once you realize that everything is kind of just step by step and it's a lot of just grunt work.
Yep.
The best way to explain it, in all actuality, like the best metaphor is if you think about the internet, okay? I think I talked to you about this recently, but you think about the internet, you're like, oh, it's this magical thing. It's like, oh, there's probably like super high tech, satellites and like all this stuff that like powers it and it connects everybody around the world. And then you look up, how does the internet work? They literally laid cable through the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific and connected all these islands through cables. That's it. That's how they did it. So when everyone is like, yeah, I really want to telegraph my homie back in the UK. And they're in the 13 colony. Well, no, it's not that old, but they're my homie and they're pilgrims. But they were literally just like, well, Chuck, that electric cable connected over here, connected that lamp. Why don't we just make it longer? And they were like, fuck out of here. You get out of here. And then everyone else was like,
oh, wow.
I think that's the way it's going to work.
Yeah.
And so they just made a long cable from the US to the UK, and that was it. That is the industry. That is the music industry. Is literally, it's just rudimentary solutions to what you probably think is a really complex problem. The way that we do all of our copyright agreements and licensing infrastructure and all this stuff is just a bunch of really, 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 really annoying automations that we built out over the past 4 years that, at this time, I think, it's the 20th of the month or whatever. We've done close to 100,000 automations this month.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb, but that's the only way we can do it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how to automate anything. So I learned, I just Googled. And it's just a bunch of annoying little things.
Right.
You lay brick, stop trying to make $1 million tonight, get a Grammy. Why don't you just focus on getting 1,000 more plays this month than you got last month? You do that over the course of a year. Wow. Now you have a lot more plays and it's growing and growing.
Right. And it's a system.
Yeah.
I think
people don't look at the next step.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
it's annoying.
And I think a lot of people, you're right. They are looking for that moment where you're like, oh, wow, I made it. Like Drake retweeted me and I went from 900 monthly listeners to 850,000 in one day.
Yeah.
And like that might be possible.
Sure.
It might be. It's not impossible. If you know, I don't know. If Barack Obama tweeted you and 50 Cent came out and did a parody, who knows? A lot of weird shit could happen.
Yeah.
But so many people are focused on catching lightning in a bottle that they're not focused on laying the brick.
You're never going to be in a situation where you're like, okay, I'm good forever. Because if you're like me, neurotic, and you always want to grow, and you're just like, I'm unsatisfied, you're going to constantly want to grow. Because let's say you get, I mean, I don't even know how people calculate success. Everybody thinks it's like followers. I'm just like, do you have money in your bank account? I think success is like, how long are you not worried about rent, and are you enjoying the people around you and the music you're making?
Right.
You know, I think that's actually what I equate, like that and the ability like to travel and like freedom and just make music with the people you like, travel, eat good food. If you can do that and not worry, you've made it. Like what else do you, I don't know what other goals other people have, but like, those are my goals. That's about it. You know?
Well, so how does an artist get involved with that pitch? Like, do they just sign up and pitch their songs, or
it's
what?
literally that simple. So you literally sign up. The way we do it is there's a membership fee. You pay that membership, and then we don't take all of your money when you land something, and that's it. You just upload your catalog of music. We send it to all the companies that we work with, and we land hundreds of deals every single month. Everything's automated. You just upload your stuff. These companies are, I want that, beep, bop, boop. I want this, I want that. And then you're notified, and then you just provide like the stuff that they need, which is like stems or whatever that they need for their platform, or, you know, the ad that they're working on, and that's it. And then you get paid. It's literally that simple. It's awesome. It's like just distributing your music into Spotify. Imagine distributing your music into all these deals. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought we could make it simple, and I think we've done that.
Hell yeah. And now you said artists at this point, they can only give music that is not released yet, right? Yep. Well, what a great way to like potentially like build a shit ton of momentum for the release of a song.
Exactly. So that's kind of how we approached it is, you know, from a compliance perspective, it's easier if it's unreleased and unregistered at the start. Mm-hmm. But as soon as the song comes out, because, you know, most of these tracks end up being released, there's already a marketing engine behind it. So if you release any of your other stuff, you own your artist profile. So it's pretty badass. We primarily are working with producers right now because they just have a bunch of unreleased stuff just sitting on your hard drive. So it's like, hey, I have like all these demos. I'm going to upload like all my demos. And then all of a sudden you make, you know, tens of thousands of dollars from just stuff that you had lying around. It's like sick. I will say later this year, a big focus of us, we actually have like a couple things in the pipeline, which I'm very excited about, which is going to be literally the best licensing experience ever for artists. It's going to put so much power back into the independent industry. I'm like so stoked. It's kind of the dream that I've had for like the past couple of years, and we're almost there. So stay tuned with that. But if you're a producer or you have unreleased stuff on music or as an artist, go for it. And then your released stuff, we also do have a designated area for released music on our current platform. So, whatever you do, if you make music, we can help. So It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know there's a lot of artists hitting me up all the time asking about how to get their song in a Netflix show.
Hit me up. Cool thing is our team is like super chill and very accessible. You know, everybody there, like on our team, nicest people ever. And we're literally just normal, like, you know, I make records, our head of operations and head of A&R make records. All of our A&Rs are producers. Yeah. So everybody on the team is like also, you know, in licensing and publishing and actually making music, touring on music, etc. So everyone's just super chill. Cool thing is we also have a community online. So if you need any help, there's hundreds of people that are just like, yeah, this is how to do it. So it's pretty chill, pretty cool. What's going on over there?
I'm trying to figure. I got a new Apple Watch. I can't actually figure out how to make it fucking tell me the time.
I thought I was boring you.
No, I'm trying to. We have a limited amount of time, so I'm trying to be like, what's the fucking time? But before we do get kicked out of here, what is one question so you might mainly work with producers. Someone's up and coming in their production, and they're trying to be proactive where they think like this industry is going. Is there a particular sound or particular feel that you seem like, oh yeah, if you can make an eerie background noise for a horror movie.
You know what's funny? We're licensing every single genre every single month. It's insane.
Just like, okay, how about this? Is it mostly... What kind of things are you licensing? Is it commercials? Is it the background in a show?
So there are seasonal changes. An easy way to explain it is like, okay, if the summer's coming up, the season before that, there's gonna be a bunch of tropical things that are needed because there's gonna be a bunch of ads for the Carnival Cruise thing. Well, there's a lot of other companies that don't want to get that specific track. And so they need a bunch of stuff, but the main kind of thing is like, here's the main difference in music licensing is you're like, okay, what TV show is it? What Netflix show is like, you have to stop focusing on those.
Okay.
Those are not a big deal anymore. Yeah, cool. Getting an Audi commercial or an Apple commercial, great. But how many Apple commercials are there? Not many. How many YouTubers are there? Hundreds of millions. So the main difference is each individual placement pays less, but the pie is so much larger. So you just need to get a cut of that pie.
Yeah. Okay.
Like who cares about the $40,000 placement?
On Twitch.
Yeah. Who cares about the one $40,000 gig if there's 500 $400 gigs? That's what we're focused on.
Got it.
And while we do, we just landed a Burberry commercial. We're working on a couple, of, the sexy stuff. I love that. But, like all of the vloggers online, all of the podcasters, all of just the content creators, that is the next phase of music licensing. Yes, Netflix, Amazon, all these companies, by all means, they are pouring.
Sexier.
Yeah. And I'm not going to discredit them. They are pouring more money into film than ever before. I mean, Netflix, want to talk about crazy stuff. Netflix recently, I read they opened up a film studio in Spain. And the general premise is, if you look at the creator economy as a whole of like where everything's moving, music has always followed film. Okay. Just our trends for consumer behavior, nerdy stuff. Like it just follows film. Well, historically, all of the movie stars have been out of Hollywood, right? Well, that's because the creation of those films were in Hollywood. Okay? Well, Netflix opened up a studio in Spain. And Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, they have data that Hollywood never had. They know who's listening, they know who's watching. They know where they're watching. They know what they do. Okay? So the Brad Pitts, the Jennifer Anistons, love her. That is going to be, in my view, less and less, and we're going to have a lot of regional stars. Because if you live in Romania, do you want to watch Brad Pitt or do you want to watch the Brad Pitt in Romania? You might walk into him. How cool is that?
Brad Pitt.
Exactly. But seriously, it's like, there's going to be a lot of regional talent.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
We're seeing that in the music industry. Lizzo, Minneapolis. The Baby, Charlotte. This is happening more and more and more. And everybody's looking at it. It's like, oh, LA, New York, and Nashville, there's still the thing. London, still the thing. And of course. But if you look at, really think to yourself. And if you're not lying to yourself, you're going to come up with the right answer here. If you compare the music making, creation, content creation, population of New York, Nashville, LA, and London in comparison to the music making, creation, content creation, making creators of the rest of the world, what do you think's the bigger market? And do they have the same tools? Where is the future? Invest there. Divest from before. That is what we're focused on. Is our entire focus is the future of licensing and publishing. And a lot of like old school cats in the industry, you know, I've gotten some slack for that. And that's like, I understand. They're great people, you know, but like at the end of the day, it's like, whether you like it or not, this is just where it's headed. Mm-hmm. If you look from a data and revenue perspective, there is a market that is growing and there is a market that is dying.
Right. It's peaked.
It's peaked. And that's all you need to know. Right. Go where the growth is, because the growth means there's cracks. And if there's cracks, that means you can get in. Mm-hmm. I'm not special. I'm an idiot, but I'm getting in with companies that that have those cracks. Mm-hmm. They are the new industry. And that's where we're focused, is all the new industry.
That's really, that's some good perspective. I think you're right. Stop thinking about catching the big whale.
Yeah.
Start catching a few fish. Not
even fish. Go after the kelp, bro.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of them.
Get the shrimp.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of shrimp. I like shrimp.
I love shrimp. I am a seafood eater.
Okay. Well, come up to New England sometime. We'll show you some good lobster.
Some chowder.
Some chowder.
I lived in Boston for a year.
Oh, okay.
So I'm familiar. In Connecticut and New York. Well, New York's not New England, but anyways, chowder.
Chowder.
So,
cool. If you're a producer looking to get your songs or your instrumentals, production, whatever you want to call it, looking for some sync opportunities, check out thatpitch.com. I'm here with Mark Eckert. This has been the Nameless Podcast. I don't know what it's going to call it. I'm thinking about calling it Giving It To You Straight. This is Giving It To You Straight.
Giving It To You Straight, bro.
Today we're talking about music.
I'm here with Peter Griffin. Just gonna drop this voice in here one time.
Wow, that's fucking incredible. Unbelievable.
I'm gonna leave it at Peter. Whoa.
All right, cool.
All right, that's a day.
That's a wrap.